Slot Toy Tutorial 5, Cutting the Slots. There are a few steps to this particular one and it seems a bit strange when I read it out, but it will make sense when we get to the end, I hope. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to subtract part A from part B to make a full slot in part B. We're going to backfill half of the slot in part B, and then we're going to subtract part B from part A to make a complementary slot. That sounds complicated when I say it. Hopefully it won't be too complicated when we do it. So we're now in on-chip shape, and we're going to right click on here and copy the workspace just like we have for every other tutorial. We are up to tutorial 5, so let's what's happening here? Okay, slot toy V5 and press OK. So we've got that happening and it will open soon. And before we do too much else, we're going to name each one of these parts. So that part there, I'm going to right click on it and rename, and we'll call it body. I'm going to right click on this one here and rename it. Obviously your names will be different. This is going to be called the hip joint. You might have 2 hips, for example. There you go, hip 1 and hip 2 or whatever. Rename this as a leg. The next one's going to be an arm. Right click and rename that. Where's rename gone? Oh my gosh, I've lost rename. Press escape. What's going on there? Okay, right click, rename. If ever you get sort of caught up like that, pressing escape is a good way of possibly solving that. I think that's the arms. And there's one, right click here, rename is leg 02. So I've got a number of parts here. Let's start by creating the joint between the body and the hip. So I'm going to turn off everything else I don't need by just hiding them with the eye tool. I'm also going to turn off these points here and the origin, just so I can just see what I'm doing here with my dinosaur. So let's just assume that the part we're going to do is I'm going to press on Boolean. I'm going to press on subtract. So you have a tool and you have a target. I'm going to use the tool being the body, and I'm going to be the target is being the hip, and I'm going to keep the tools. I'm going to press on click, and you'll think, well, that's done nothing, but it did change something there if you noticed. If I turn the body off, nothing happened, but if I turn the hip off, also nothing happened. Why did that boolean not work? Oh, the hip's supposed to be in the target. I'm supposed to click on the target and press tick. Now nothing happened to the hip, but something happened to the body. There you go. So the hip now has a slot in it. Okay, so the slot is way too big. We don't want the slot all the way through. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a rectangle. Now, if I look at this, all the different angles I can draw, I'm going to draw a rectangle on this particular one here. Now I'm going to right click on this and choose view normal to sketch plane, and if I choose view normal to sketch plane, that will solve my problems in terms of being able to see what I'm doing. I'm just going to get a rectangle and I'm going to draw the rectangle around about halfway point. There's good, and down to here like so, and I'm going to press tick. So that's done. I'm now going to press extrude, and I'm going to extrude this one and this one, and I'm going to extrude it the opposite direction for material thickness, and I'm going to press tick. You'll now see that no matter which way you look at it, it's only got the join through half of it. So now I'm going to do the subtraction the other way. So let's look at this from a decent sort of view. Let's look at it from that way. I'm now going to do the subtraction the other way. So this time I'm going to do the boolean and I'm going to do subtraction. The tool is going to be the thing that was the target last time, and the target is going to be the thing that was the tool last time, and I'm going to keep the tools and I'm going to press tick. And now if you turn the hip off, you'll see a slot there, and if you turn the body off, you'll see a slot there, and those slots will match and they will be complementary. So that should work for the hip and the body. I'm now going to operate on the legs. Press on both legs, and this time it's going to be more feasible to actually do the operation once again on the hip. So I'll turn the body off. It looks a bit weird, but I'm going to turn the body off. I'm going to do the boolean, and I'm going to do a subtraction. The tools are going to be the two legs. Always better to have two tools and one target, like so. And I'm going to keep the tools and press tick. I'm now going to turn both legs off, and you'll see that I've got massive slots in there. I'm going to zoom up on this. I'm going to do a sketch, and I'm going to click on that surface there. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go view normal to sketch plane, and I'm going to draw some rectangles. Doesn't matter if you go outside of this area, just as long as you go to a roughly half. And if you see that square there, that's half. And I'm going to do the same over this side. Just draw a rectangle over here like so. I'm going to half like so, and that's done. And I'm going to press tick. I'm now going to extrude, but I'm not going to press this bit, just this one and that one and this one and this one. And I'm going to go material thickness, but I'm going to go backwards again. So it should be going through, and if I press tick now, that's done. It's solid through to there. Now remember, I'm operating on my legs and my hip. So this time I'm going to do the opposite of what I did before. I'm going to use the boolean. This time the tools, or the tool is my hip, and the targets are my legs. And I'm going to keep the tools and press tick. Now if you accidentally don't press the tools, you can actually always double click in there and press that again. So if I now turn my hip off and look at my legs have got those two joins which are complementary to the joins in the hip. And the body is also now joined. The final one I've got to do is the arm joint. So the arm joint, I can turn the arms back on, is going to operate onto the body. So I'm going to right click on boolean, I'm going to use the subtract method, I'm going to press on tools for the arms, the target is going to be the body, I'm going to keep the tools and press tick. I'm going to turn that arm off now and look at it from the side view, and I'm probably just going to draw a smallish rectangle in here. So I'm going to draw a sketch on the face of this one here, and I'm going to use the rectangle tool, and I'm going to basically, the rectangle tool is not going to work for this one. You notice it's not a right angle anymore, so I'm going to use a line tool, and I'm going to draw a line straight through there and there, so you can see it's got that right angle little thing like so. That's a right angle symbol that just popped up down the bottom there. I'm going to click that through, and then I'm just going to draw some random looking shape over here to over here like so, and press tick. I've now got this one because it's at the angle, it's a bit different, but I can still do the extrusion on here and on that one, and it's going to be backwards, and it's going to be material thickness, always the same thickness. And then I'm going to turn the arm back on, and I'm going to do the reverse subtraction. So this time the tool is the body, the target is the arm. I'm going to keep the tools and press OK. Let's just check that, and just check the arms by turning the body off, and you've got a little bit of a hook there and a little bit of a hook on the body as well, so that should sit in there nicely. So there it is, all my joints are now done, and that is a fairly sort of convoluted way of creating all the joints to be perfect. So those joints will be perfect when you laser cut them out. It's now time to go in and fill out your project plan, so please go and do your project plan as you work through these tutorials.